Let's settle for the news now because President Akufo-Addo has told global leaders attending the Expo 2020 in Dubai that Ghana is without a shred of doubt a country of unquestionably attractive opportunities. Whilst admitting that there have been some very difficult periods since Ghana's independence, he says the tide has now turned and the country is on the path to prosperity. He's been speaking to global business leaders and a cross-section of Ghanaians living in Dubai as he pitches Ghana's business and investment opportunities to the world.
We take honor in the fact that Ghana was the first country in sub-Saharan Africa to free herself from colonial rule and thereafter took the lead for the liberation of the African continent from the forces of colonialism and imperialism. For a plethora of reasons, the economic growth and prosperity that we had anticipated would follow political liberation did not materialize, even though we have been blessed with abundant resources by the Almighty. We have, however, moved away from the earlier uncertainties have generally been the period of the greatest economic growth in our history. Unfortunately, it has not been consistent. And with our country at age 65, we are determined that it is time to get it right in a sustainable manner. Our engagement at the Expo is themed on opportunity because we are a nation of unquestionably attractive opportunities. Indeed, prior to the onset of COVID-19, Ghana in 2017, 2018, and 2019, that is during my first term in office, recorded annual average GDP growth rates of 7%, making our economy one of the fastest growing in the world at the time.
Commission PRC Dr. Ishmael Aka has lauded the Ghana Water Company for making moves to expand water to Wa and its environs. The move, according to him, will enable many people have access to potable water. The Jambusu Wa water project has a capacity of pumping 15,000 cubic meters of water to the town of Wa, but it has been able to pump only the West region.
The Executive Secretary of the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, Dr. Ishmael Aka, is on a week's tour of the 3 traditional northern regions. The aim is to interact with staff of his outfit in the regions and utility service providers, namely the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, and the Ghana Water Company Limited to listen to their challenges with a view to finding ways to resolve them. His first region of call is the Upper West region, where he interacted with the staff and top managers of the utility service providers. Here at the Wa office of the Ghana Water Company Limited, the main challenge, according to the chief manager, Sarina Kwachi Minta, is the non-payment of bills and vandalization of their pipelines, especially
pipelines. We have, during the dry season, we've had a few issues where our pipelines have been burnt because people have set fires to it. But so far, so good. We have enjoyed the collaboration of the PURC. They write to us, we respond. They've been very receptive to us.
The Wa Ghana Water Company Limited office has its main supply of water to the Wa Township and its environs for a capacity of pumping 15,000 cubic meters of water to the Wa Township a day, but is now operating about a quarter of it owing to some challenges.
At Jambusi has a capacity of 15,000 cubic meters a day, but currently we are doing around 4,000 cubic meters because of the demand one, and then also our limited network. The demand we have and also the limited network, pipe network we have. Currently we have about 235 kilometers of network, and we need 35 kilometers network and want to add on 70. As you can see, we have pipes to do the extension. So we'll commence work hopefully in April to do the extension.
The Executive Secretary of the P communities.
Some of the programs that are being implemented in other regions, like supporting the lifeline water consumers, can be extended here. That is one. We've also proposed to them that because the connection charges are high, they should have a payment plan So if it is 1,000, customers pay that in 6 equal installments so that at least they can. We are told that yes, that is already there. We provide subsidy, whether the difference can be added to the bill so they pay it gradually. We are also told that currently they want to invest in about I think 70 kilometers network, distribution network, which I think can help solve the initial distribution challenges I mentioned.
The executive secretary and his team earlier met with officials of the NETCO. The issue on hand was planned and unplanned outages and the high cost of acquiring new meters by customers.
1,900. Can I do the payment in 6 installments instead of just paying once? So these are some of the things we brought. We also have a customer complaint system. So not just for customers. So now utilities can also report customers to PURC. And in fact, other regions have reported and we've been able to help the utilities to recoup or retrieve some of their monies.
Rafik Salam's reports.
Let's do our Ghana series now, where Indigenous pottery is a significant art form in the Ghanaian culture. But the country's ceramics industry has been recording a decline in production and patronage in recent times. As part of our Ghana series, Mona Lisa Frumpong takes a look at how stakeholders want people to embrace one of the most durable forms of art, pottery.
Behind handicrafts, pottery is the oldest. As the clay is shaped by human hands, decorative effects are added. The clay is formed into pots that communicate each era's most profound beliefs or aesthetic concerns. The head of department for the Integrated Rural Art and Industry at KNUST has a variety of pots on display. Professor Rudolf Steiner tells stories of pottery. We have the royal pottery and then the domestic pottery. And royal pottery is basically produced by royal potters. And the production line of royal pottery is not just like any other. There are certain rituals and performances that must go alongside production. And then we have those who produce mainly for domestic use. Just for the ordinary people. They are trained right from the onset because there are no rituals associated with them. They can start learning it when they are quite young. The traditional pottery in Nsi and Apiedu, among others. But ceramic shops and production areas are hardly found in these notable towns in Ashanti region. Traders say the craft has not been sustained by the youth. Others blame it on the influx of foreign ceramic products.
The
job is lucrative, but the youth are not interested. The foreign lightweight pots have taken over the market and it is cheaper than ours.
Professor Rudolf Steiner observes the interest of students studying ceramics programs have waned.
The pottery business is declining. One is that the art of pottery in the community is not linked to the education of the youth. So you'll find out that the child is in the community, the pottery is being practiced, yet because of his academic activities, he has no desire even to practice it. It's expected that art and craft will take care of that, bridging the home craft with academic work, but it is not there.
Institutions that were established to help develop the manpower and skills for the growth of the ceramics industry. Now, many ceramics graduates have found themselves in other professions, and those who have managed to set themselves up are not doing so well. And I am very sure that those who are still in school will definitely find themselves in other professions other than the ceramics they studied. Indigenous art forms are gradually becoming a part of cultural development. Dr. Kafui Kwesi Ajuman of the Integrated Rural Art and Industry, KNUST, wants pottery.
In scripture says that human beings were made from the earth. Pottery is also dark from the earth. So the more you connect to pottery, the more you connect to your originality. It makes you original. You see, anything outside that too much, then it means you are contaminating your own body. So a lot of foods don't even relate to metal so well, like onions, garlic, but we always cook them in metal saucepans. What happens? We kill the nutrients in them.
At the ceramics department of the Center for National Culture in Kumasi, acting head Richard Fianco encouraged.
We should buy our local product. They are very, very good. Yeah, we produce them here. We take time to do it.
It is important that pragmatic policies are decided at the local level for the restructuring of the traditional pottery industry. Mona Lisa Frimpon reporting.
Still on our Ghana series, we shine light on Indigenous Ghanaian dancers that use 40 regions, united by the stroke of drums, metals and singing. Justice Bailey went to see the Ghana Dance Ensemble perform at the dance at the University of Ghana here in Accra.
My name is Dr. Na Hago. I am a lecturer at most National Dance Company of Ghana. It was established in 1961 under the Institute of African Studies at the University of Ghana. Bobo simply means bend, bobo, go down and bend. Came out of the result of popular dance. It was derived from beats of kokoma and then introduced the drums to it. And so it became, over a period of time, it transited from becoming a popular dance into a traditional dance. It's almost like you are coiling, okay, or you are twirling your hands. You are holding two ends of the handkerchief and then you are turning them inside out like a fan. All right. Now, that when you perform it this way, then you bend over also, and then you lower your knees, okay, with your torso or your upper body tilting forward. That is where we bobo. That's where you go down and bend, okay, and then you articulate your legs. And when you perform bobo with your two handkerchiefs and you bend over, torso down or your upper body down with your knees bent, and then you articulate your legs, as in you move your legs. Men also try their best to also articulate their buttocks. All right. Yes. And it depends on the song that you sing. If you're singing songs in praise of God, where you have to lower yourself, abase yourself before God, before your Maker, then you go down. Okay. And like David, you express yourself. When you start playing the drums, these drums speak to electronic music. The drum music and dance performances tend to stay longer, and sometimes, depending on how good it was composed, it transcends the popularity in becoming a traditional dance.
The AIM show continues with Benjamin Akakpo.
Thank you for staying with us on the AM show, top of the morning to you. And of course, when we hit you with the big stories today, you know what to expect. But right now, The News Review is with Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He is political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies. He is our guest this morning. Doc, a very good morning to you.
Good morning,
Doc,
Ben.
Okay, all right. Let's start off very quickly with some bits and pieces that we have got. Let's start with the Ghana cedi. And the depreciation keeps on going on. It's in a bit of a free fall. We don't know how or where the bottom of this abyss would be. But it's now slipped to 7.3, 7.4, 7.5 Ghana cedis to $1. It's impacting everything. Guta has been talking only 84,000 worth and all that. So many dynamics when it comes to the Ghana cedi. And we're looking at what is happening between Ukraine and Russia. And now the Americans have said that they are boycotting Russian energy, Russian coal, Russian fuel, Russian gas, Russian petroleum, Russian gas. This can only mean even worse on the international market when it comes to purchasing Brent and all of that. What do you see in the midst of all of this? What picture does it paint? And what are you looking forward to from the powers that be?
We are in difficult times, I must say, because if you look at the goings on in Ukraine, it brings to the fore a very difficult situation that we have very little control of. If you look at where we sit as a country, and in terms of world politics and the economy, then we are in a difficult soaring up. Then you know there's definitely going to be impact on third world countries, including Ghana. We have very little to do at this moment or to say because we depend on these powers for survival more, so to speak. So a little effect on the economy due to certain shake-up within the international system obviously have a negative position or effect on our system. So we can't say much, but that we have to brace ourselves for difficult times if the war doesn't end now. And
it's not looking likely, Doc. Sweep over Ukraine, and it would be something very quick. That's not how the war has turned out. The Russians look rusty. Mind you, they've not fought in maybe decades, if you like it, apart from the 2014 incident. And you look at the trajectory, you see that things might be drawn out. Now, I think yesterday, the Ukrainians, which has been intercepted, information intercepted, showed that another Russian general had been killed. So the war effort from Russia is not going exactly according to plan. This could be prolonged. But while it remains protracted, there's also the bit about what we are facing, our currency exchange problems. So what do we do? Professor Kwesi Botwe has said that the e-levy is not the way, IMF is not the way. The World Bank representative, Pierre Laporte, has come in to say that we're in really bad times. And he has given a bleak outlook as well about, moving. What do you have to say?
Strictly speaking, our leaders must begin to put on their thinking caps, which I'm sure they've done already. We need to see more so that we can breathe a sigh of relief in this area a little bit. They need to be able to look at things from different perspectives, see how best we can also generate giving the government what it needs to be able to weather this storm. It's a difficult one, I must say.
Let me ask you a very straightforward one. When you look at all the actions you've seen, the fact that the e-levy has not been able to pass in Parliament and all the problems attached to that, the concomitant issues, and then you contemplate where we are now, how confident are you that we can get out of this pretty quickly? I mean, we can get things together, get our act together and shore up our economy. What I'm hearing from the World Bank is not, at least the representative, but what is your level of confidence that those we have, the finance minister, the economic management team, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the chairperson, can get things together On a scale of 1 to 10, what's your level of confidence?
So I believe the MPP, as they say, they have the men. And even going beyond the party, there are a lot of human resources that are in this country that can be tapped to address this challenge. So I have the hope that if we want to do the needful, we'll be able to have answers to this. So all that we need to do is to be able to put our acts together and then fight on. The consultation must go on, the join must go on, and then so that Parliament, something comes out of Parliament immediately. And then they look elsewhere in terms of other means of generating revenue and resources to run the affairs of the state. For me, that is the direction to go. This is not a time for you to play politics about that party tradition and that we are not prepared. Difficult times. So things that will really get out of this quagmire is what must occupy the attention of holders of political power, which I'm sure they are not oblivious of this.
Speaking of the politics, let me just run this by you. It came to mind. The polling station scenario from the NPP, the elections that have not been held, the botched elections, the bit that some people feel disenfranchised in Fomena. You had some of them, interestingly, saying they had defected, some of what is happening, because some have pointed to the fact that this was the same thing that happened in the last election, and the NPP, the ruling administration, ended where it is now, losing so many seats in Parliament. From where you sit as a political scientist, what's your reading of the matter?
It's very unfortunate because I thought that the MPP had learned a lesson from this. Look at the Parliament that we have. Some of it has come out as a result of the differences, the problem that the party had during the elections. So one would have thought that after election, they will sit down, reflect upon it carefully, and then when they start this election, we will have a certain smooth administration. But events have taken a different turn. We are seeing some trying to fix it. As soon as elections are over, we go to sleep. And the very things come to what? Haunt us. And that is what MPP finds itself. Two, the second point is that if you look at institutions within the party, they themselves build it, and then at a point in time, they want to destroy it. Why do you have to, bring to the fore the issue of these differences within the party? Is it the case that the party doesn't have a mechanism in dealing with some of these bottlenecks within the party? I am struggling to find answers. There is also the issue of strategy, which is not working. You see, you cannot win an election without having a strategy. If the way to go is the polling station election just to start with, then you need to solidify that area. But you need human resource to marshal all your plan and to be able to get a solution to that. For me, it's getting worried, and that the earlier they dealt with this issue, the better. Otherwise, I'm not sure they will be able to bring the 8, because you need a whole lot of factors coming together, including peace, so that you can build upon and have a meaningful election campaign come 2024.
Right. And, interesting dynamics there. Maybe my very final bit to you before we get into the papers and what they are saying. On that same beat, the political standpoint, we've heard from the grapevine, the rumor mill is kicking that we've lost supposedly a sitting member of parliament. And I can't go into further detail. But if that turned out to be true, from whatever side, what do you think that would mean for the dynamics, the current dynamics in Parliament? We have a number of these instances from the 2020 elections, parliamentarians whose seats are being contested in the sense of one or two things. We have the situation where, there's Adwoa Safo and her own situation. And now we have the bit to do with an alleged or supposed, parting to glory of a member of Parliament. What do you think? How crucial could this be in the dynamics that we are seeing in Parliament?
If what we are hearing, majority of them goes to affect truth that the NDC is going to suffer in terms of more, numerical losses, then the dynamics are going to change. But all in all, you need a strategy. It doesn't matter the numbers that you have. You need a leader who will be able to see things ahead and plan and have a strategy so that at any point in time, you know the button to press to have something reasonable for your people. That is the essence of leadership, and that is what the leaders of parliament must begin to work towards. Otherwise, events are going to be overtaken by events. Another point is that you look, in spite of our differences in terms of our party tradition, party ideology, and all that, we must always bear in mind that reason out to save the situation. Otherwise, we can, begin to have very different opposing views, and at the end of the day, we will not be able to move this democracy forward. And that, for me, is not good enough. I'm sure leaders by now are aware of what the situation we'll find ourselves in. They should be able to plan properly so that they can deal with this. And more importantly, the MPP must be able to help its leadership in parliament to weather the storm. It appears to me that they have a lot of difficulties, but if they are able to bring themselves down, relate to their colleagues in a very normal way, and then have the heart of tolerating dissenting views, and also trying to build consensus, I'm sure there will be a way out to this problem.
Let's quickly get into the daily graphic, Prof. Create change. First Lady encourages youth on Women's Day. And there's Ghana ready for investment, Akufo-Addo assures investors. There's also Asin North MP duly served. That's according to the Supreme Court. He now has to give his response. We are ready for a fifth republic. So we definitely want to protect what we do have. Ghana Water Company Limited, Danish company, signed technology transfer pact. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Your quick take, Doc, on the Daily Guide story when it comes to the bullion van cop robbers who have been exposed. So in recent times, we've got two statements from the police. The first one talking about two policemen who are suspected to have been part of the bullion van gang. Now, these two ended up shot, per the statement from yesterday. And of the 5 that have been added on, another 4 are said to be police officers. How does that, one of these, I think the one in Jamestown, we saw that ghastly killing of a young police officer. If the men and women in blue who are supposed to be protecting us are now part and parcel, supposedly, of those hurting us, what does that reflect?
This problem is unfortunate, but it's not new. We have seen once a while, you come across this thing within the police service, which I must say that the police has also been very active in trying to rid itself of some of these miscreants from the system. They've done their best, but a human institution as it is, sometimes some of these people slip through their fingers and then they get into their system. It becomes difficult when the watchman himself begins to have very funny ideas and then want to even, undermine the very effort of his master. But I don't think this is much of a problem, because the police administration, as I know it from afar, has what it takes to get rid of all these elements so that the service continue to be respected and then deliver the public good. I have confidence in the police that they will be able to do the needful. I have no doubt in my mind.
The Ghanaian Times newspaper, International Women's Day celebration at KNUST, stand up to be counted. First Lady admonishes women. Head teacher commits suicide at Hachukopa. At Dubai Expo 2022, President touts economic achievements and the Fourth Republic, says greatest since independence. Yes, we're facing, economic battering from different points, though part of it is self-inflicted. But some have also said that when Mr. President sounds like this, it paints the picture that everything is rosy and is not reflective of what is going on with the ordinary Ghanaian. And so he should just tone it down or basically zip it. Do you agree with such people? On one end, people say we are suffering. On the other end, Mr. President says the best economic times. What do you say?
I think it's difficult to take what the president is saying, even though I respect his view. The political communication aspect of it, they are not getting it right. Yes, whether the government has been able to do a lot in the first era, I'm talking about the first term of the president.
Right.
That is not what we are talking about now. Yes, today, it is true that the government is trying to pull itself out of this, difficult time. But the stark reality is that we have some economic challenges. So this is not the time to come out with some statement that people will challenge and then create more difficulty for the political system. No, the president must be focused. He's supposed to do what he's doing and then tone down some of these comments so that you don't get unnecessary negative comment from the system, because already times are hard. People are struggling to make a living, and then all that they need is what? The assurance and a language couched in a certain manner that will not, get people, angry, so to speak. So I think that, but it is also fair that if the government has done something meaningful, the government can bring it out. But I'm saying that they should be able to balance it so that you don't unnecessarily antagonize the people who are already suffering and all of that. I'm not sure that that is the tangent that the MPP want to go.
Okay. Republic Press, as we get ready to wrap, Ablakwa applauds Akufo-Addo for saving 3.3 million Ghana cedis as he flies commercial to Dubai Expo 2020. And the Member of Parliament for North Tong, it's good that he's cutting here and cutting there, because this time Mr. President flew commercial and he is applauding him for that. Let me quickly link these two stories, Republic Press and Ghanaian publisher. Republic Press says, Ukraine bloggers reject Ghana, refuse to show up for evacuation. 15 of them, if you recall, Dr. Asasante. It's tied to this story, the banner headline in the Ghanaian publisher, which says, come or be left alone. Government tells recalcitrant students in Ukraine. Pictured there, Foreign Affairs Minister Shelley Ayoko Botwe. What would make these Ghanaians who have got the option of coming back say, we prefer to be in war-torn Ukraine and not come back to Ghana? What does that say, speak of us 65 years into independence?
I'm surprised the students are taking this situation or they're taking this position. It's very, very unfortunate, because you see, Ukrainians themselves are finding it difficult to manage within their own system. So I was expecting that looking at the effort that the country is making towards getting people home, they should take advantage and come home. After all, that is not the end of the world. You can come, organize yourself. If opportunity avails itself, you continue. If even the worst scenario happens, you have a system that can also accommodate you. There are schools also here. Let us remember that this country has produced and continue to produce the best of students for the so-called the powerful schools all over the world. So if you miss an opportunity elsewhere, you come back home to the basis and continue from there. But more often than not, sometimes you have students who believe that you can only make it outside. There's nothing wrong having an opportunity to study outside. But if situation demands that you need to come back home and reorganize, why not? Home sweet home.
Well, and maybe the final headlines. Bank of Ghana warns public against BitCash currency exchange. You have to beware of that. Ghana attractive for business. President woos Dubai investors. That's in the Daily Statesman newspaper. And that's how we wrap it for the news this morning. But Doc, thank you so much for your company. Always refreshing. Thank you that you've joined us.
I'm also grateful.
All right.
Enjoy the day.
Same to you, Doc. And that's how we wrap it up. But we continue from here with sports. We'll bring you AM Business later. Today it will come up after the big stories as we host our guests who will be walking us through Ghana Beyond Politics, 65 years on, the presidential travels, polling station Wahala, and other issues that I'm going to be bringing to bear. Our guests, Ningo Prampram MP Sam George and Manhyia North MP Akwesi Konedo. But right now, we're taking you into sports, where George Addo Jr. has been exploring why Independence Day is such a big deal in BBN. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us on the AM show. And you know what we do at around this time? The big stories. We're bringing them to you, and we're going to look at every corner. Mind you, we're going to be exploring the bit about Ghana beyond politics, 60 polling station elections. You know what? How about we start from there? Joining us, Akwesi Konadu, Member of Parliament, Manhyia North. Mr. Konadu, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation.
A very good morning to you also.
It's a real pleasure having you. I don't recall interacting with you this year. So I think I should say Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year. But I've been on the show this year. I think that was about 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Myself and my brother from Ningo Pram. Yes. We had a very good interactive program, if you would recall.
But getting into your constituency and things that have happened in there, it doesn't paint a very rosy picture. Some people have said that these are the same things that led to your party's not abysmal performance in the 2020 elections when it comes to the parliamentary elections, but your loss of a large number of seats. We know that in recent times, the polling station elections have actually been, and then the latest from Sunday, where the elections were not able to be held in some quarters. What is your initial reaction to that? And for those who are saying this bodes ill for the party, how do you respond?
Let me say a very good morning again to our viewers. My initial response is one. I think within the frame, as you just put, the party put in place processes, guidelines, rules, regulations, and even our constitution that guides us, that the processes would have to follow a certain procedure. And you, the individual who would want to participate in that process, may have happened. It's a matter of, if it's not my way, then it is not the right way to have been done. And that is the problem. Yes,
my way or the highway?
Yes, it's either my way or the highway, as you just said. And that probably cannot be countenanced in a party that has constitutions, that has rules, that has regulations that bind some of these things. You see, it is a certain admonition that we all must tell people, that we must follow the processes as they've been given to us to the end. And where we also find ourselves following and that you, that specific individual, cannot be given an opportunity to participate, but rather be brought in, rebuked, trained on the line and trained on the line such that you will not repeat those mistakes. People should begin to accept that. And that whole mentality that we also put across, that these are my people, I hold them, you are touching my people and the rest. I've always said, we all come into the party as individuals. We don't come into the party with people banged onto our shoulders, giving the same party cards with our pictures on one party cards with 100 people, handle them, that is where we start bringing division into our party. And when that person falls foul of the rules and regulations that we set for ourselves, and we start defending those individuals because we believe that they are our people, in quotation marks, then they are emboldened to go about the way that they go about, which is not the right way, but the highway. That is where I believe. And you see, if you attribute that to, say, the value of numbers that we have in Parliament now, I believe we've learned from that. You may find people who will still want to step all of these things that we've talked about. But it doesn't mean that enforcing these rules not go by those rules. But those people conform to the norms and values that we have set for ourselves, the ethics. Because if I would ask you, you join the Ghana Journalists Association, if I'm right, you pay your dues to the Ghana Journalists Association so that you become a member of good standing, such that at any point in time that the Ghana Journalists Association is participating in an activity that requires members in good standing to participate, you are in. When they set the rules and guidelines that governs that process, where that if it is not my way, and however, the party's structures give us an opportunity that whenever we are not satisfied with certain decisions that people may have made within, we must go by those rules. It doesn't behold on us that we go in and out there, bring on people in the form of tags, vigilantes, to distract the process that we have set for ourselves. I think it goes against the same rules that we have ourselves, the laws that we have enacted for us. So yes.
So the process should be all-involving. It should give equal opportunity to everybody. I mean, in some instances, we've heard, for example, how incumbents in the Ashanti region, your very own chairman, Wuntumi, has made payments for about 1,000 of them. The incumbents, leaving those who are now trying to get in. People feel the process, yes, you have options, but when you do that, you create bias in the picking of the forms. Why are some people getting it and others not? It's being skewed. Your Director of Research and Elections, Evans Nimako, would come and say, if you have problems, take it to the national level, do this and do that. Are you, by all of these, not stampeding the same process you speak of? And then now you're referring to some people as thugs?
It is not that I'm referring to some people as thugs, but individuals that who are not partakers in the elections, but who would come into the constituency to distract the process is what I'm talking about. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak on your sister station, Asempa. They showed videos, they showed pictures of people, thugs, and let me use that word, vigilantes, who were brought in to disrupt the process in some constituencies, and especially in mine.
Vigilantes, quickly. Vigilantes from where? How do you identify these are vigilantes?
If people who do not reside in the constituency, first and foremost, who have not picked forms in the constituency to participate in the process, are brought in outside the constituency, what we term as metro men. What exactly are they coming to do in the constituency?
Are these people are these people from within your party?
This is the party office. This is where nomination forms were being given. This is the very first day that the process started. Have you seen, were there any chaos? This is the committee chairman and the committee members speaking to the people before the process. Were there any chaos? But just after that process, people were brought in because there is not going to be any distribution of forms. When you showed the video.
Akwesi, this is getting very interesting, your rhetoric. You say people were brought in, so with certain interest. Who brought these people in? And I ask you again, these vigilantes, are they MPP members then?
They are not, because they have not picked forms even to contest in the polling station elections.
But if you say because they hadn't picked forms, they were not MPP members, are you saying merely because they hadn't picked forms? What is their interest in there?
That is what you should also be asking. If you have not picked forms and people are picking forms, if people are submitting their forms to be vetted, if the processes has ended and we are going for polling station elections and you have not picked forms, you don't vote in that polling station. Somebody brings you in 207.
Who brought them in the 207 buses?
I think this matter has been discussed. You see, let me tell you.
I am actually oblivious to this information. So if you can rehash it, who brought them in the 207 buses?
And that is what I'm going to tell you. Right. Whenever there is an issue between two individuals and the truth is being told, people feel like it's because you have an issue with yourself and somebody.
Right.
You see, the whole process after the picking of nomination forms, my brother, ended up with the vetting. And the elections committee, which also formed the vetting committee, went through the documents that were presented to them. The reports that we all have now indicates that there were people who forged party cards. And if your producers, your co-producers or other do have them, put those pictures and those forms on your screen for people to observe. Where you have somebody who has a 2014 membership card, supposedly issued by the party itself, but the person's picture on the 2014 MPP membership card is the 2020 Electoral Commission's Voters Register ID cards picture that finds its way onto a 2014 MPP membership card. Would you and myself believe that that party card is genuine? When you have somebody whose nomination form that the person is filling, the picture that the person used in filling that form is the same picture on the 2010 MPP supposedly issued forms at the supposedly polling stations that they were going to contest. And the matters were laid bare to them because you must first and foremost know that in falsifying identification cards, in falsifying these things, these are purely criminal matters also. And when these things are brought to your attention and because on that basis you cannot contest, and you still believe that you can put yourselves together and cause mayhem, do you think these things are fair and these things are right? And because they feel like we've done all of these things, the committee has seen and the committee have told us that we cannot on these basis contest. We still have to pull our way through by bringing on board all of these individuals to distract the process and the rest, and that is fair? No, that cannot be said to be fair. And when, because of denied people are not being denied, but people are only being told to do what is right. If we cannot start telling people to do what is right, for them to go by the rules and regulations, that is where we have future problems within ourselves. And that cannot be right, and that cannot be countenanced, and that cannot be seen to be left to go hanging that way. Yes.
Let me draw your attention to something that former Energy Minister Boakye Jacko has been saying. And he has reiterated that you must be open enough as a party to be all-involving, all-encompassing, allow everybody to have their say, even at the grassroots, because, Akwesi, this is polling station level. This is the bottom, grassroots, branch, okay? So polling station, electoral area, before you climb constituency, region, before you come to national. And if this is what is panning out, then it is hugely problematic. I'm just trying to get that story even from myjoyonline.com, just to quote what he says. He cites the new Ebrim constituency and the Dodoraso incident, for example. And I'm still talking about the same issue. And he talks about the fact that he wants the NEC to act on the matter. And he says this doesn't bode well for your party. So, yeah, okay, so I've got the quote here. He says, National Executive and National Council must stop the indifference, the hypocrisy. We know people are breaking the law, but we seem to be unconcerned. And they seem to be a bit detached. Is the NEC the way to solve the problem?
The NEC has always solved the problems of this party. Let me tell you. When this
no. Can you go back? I didn't quite get you. Did you say the NEC cannot resolve the problems of the party? Is that what you said?
I said the NEC has always resolved the problems of this party.
Okay.
Because when this process started, it started with the NEC. The NEC gave the rules, the NEC gave the guidelines, the NEC gave everything that was that. Even when we talk about we want to have an all-inclusive nature, it doesn't mean we must sidestep the decisions that we all have reached at NEC. It doesn't mean we must sidestep the constitution that we do have. The constitution must guide us. The rules that we set for ourselves must guide us. The rules, the regulations, the guidelines, the principles must also guide us. You see, when you want to have, let me just say a very simple question. We talk about whatever the Dental and Medical Council are doing, whatever the Nursing and Midwifery Council are doing, that you have to regulate the system, make sure that there are guidelines so that people who enter meet a certain requirement and the rest. We must all throw those things agile. And that whenever anybody says, I am a nurse, or picks the stethoscope and put onto the person's neck, the person therefore goes into a consult room and start attending to patients. No, there must be rules and regulations that guide everything that we do. And that is what the NEC has always done. If we as people within the party will follow these decisions of NEC, we would never have problems in our party. Because the NEC has always been apt.
All right.
The National Council has always, our conferences has always.
Right. And of course, Mr. Nimako has been alluding to that, pointing to the fact that those with grievances should forward those grievances to the higher echelons of the party. But right before I bring in Sam George, Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram, Akwesi, I do want to find out from you. So it's been said the youth organizer, constituency youth organizer in Manchian, what is the military doing there? What is your take on that? Because they feel threatened, they feel we don't need these officials at that level or at any level in these elections. How do you feel about the involvement of, the military and the police in such elections, some of which have not come off?
When the military, our security agencies pick information and intelligence, they act on those intelligence and information they pick. That is the first thing we must understand. So when they see what vigilantes, when they see these bodybuilders, when they see these macho men brought in to disrupt processes that brings about chaos in areas, not once areas, it is the duty of them to curb all of these chaotic scenes and the rest. They are not there to intimidate people. They are not there. They are only law enforcement agencies to bring about straightness to the rules that governs us as a people. So when they pick their intelligence and they follow that intelligence and they meet those situations, is it therefore to assume that people like them were behind these metro men and these people that were brought in to disrupt the process? Always bag our security agencies when they pick intelligence to act on them. Because you see, we cannot also leave our law-abiding citizens who had gone to polling stations to cast their vote for people so that they may have become polling station executives in some polling stations, that people think that in their mind it wasn't their way and they have done something that they needed not to have done and they were not supposed to have done and they were not allowed to also participate. And that if they are not allowed, then the process is not going to go and then start causing chaos and mayhem. And they pick information and they go to act on them and you feel that that is intimidation. Then I beg to differ. That is not intimidation. That is not.
All right.
When you bring in tax and they are being kept not to.
For me, Akwesi, and it's been, insightful, some of the thoughts that you've shared up to this point. Let me bring in Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Sam Jata George. In your language, what is it, Dangme?
Yes, Dangme.
How would you say welcome aboard?
Mohe.
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 Mohe. Okay. Ejasam. Mohe.
Muchumka. Kawawembi.
You
respond Ange.
Ange.
Yes, meaning I'm asking about the people at home here. How are they?
Let's do this again. Ejasam. Mohe.
Kawawembi.
Ange.
Yes.
All right. We got that one right. Thank you so much for joining. What's your quick reflection on these polling station issues in the MPP? I mean, I've seen so many things. Evans Demako saying we must resort to internal resolution mechanisms. 400 nominations rejected by the MPP. I'm talking about the polling station process. Cracking the whip, that's according to the MPP's Deputy General Secretary. And then we have the Sefia Kontombra MPP accusing their chairman and the minister for undermining the party's progress. So Kwesi Konedu, has been responding to issues. What does this point to?
Let me say a very good morning to our viewers, and let me say a happy International Women's Day post to our women. The whole month is celebrating women, and we're looking to break the bias. I'm going to be very blunt on the issues about of the processes, the internal political processes. The times when persons have hijacked these processes to frustrate the entire process for partisan or parochial interest. What we've seen over the past few days and weeks in various constituencies across the country, even in my constituency, which
there was that incident.
By God's grace, for as long as my people give me the mandate, the NPP will never even dream of winning, because we will continue to deliver the votes for the NDC. Even there,
a tight scrape for you the last time.
We'll get there
within your own party.
We will get there. We will get there. It was not necessarily just my party. There were several forces at play.
Forces at play.
Even people who are today MPs on the MPP side have met me and said, "Charlie, you're a tough kid," because we were all sent in there to come and work against you in your internal primaries. But I mean, that's a different.
Exactly.
It's a different.
It goes beyond.
It's a different conversation. I didn't go up against
meets one eye.
Yeah, but it's fine. That's a different conversation. But
right,
the point must be made about the fact that safe seats. It's even worse. Now, and I'm being careful here, and I said I was going to be blunt. This is not peculiar to the MPP.
Right.
That's why I said political parties, because it happens in the NDC. Look, as sitting MP...
And I would have been surprised if you had painted the picture that this is just an MPP
some things are there, we just need to be blunt about them. As sitting MP, me, as the sitting MP, when I was seeking re-election, because my constituency chairman was contesting me in that primaries. And the secretary was for him.
Yeah.
I didn't get forms to buy in my constituency. Me, sitting MP.
Hey.
Yes.
So you mean in the last...
the last primaries, 2019.
2019 leading into 2020.
Primaries, yes. I had to come to national. And then national called region to hand me forms.
Wow.
As sitting MP. Yes.
Is this the first?
Yes, as the sitting MP, because the person who wanted to contest me was the chairman at the time, and the party handed the forms over to him.
Of course.
You get it? And he resigned.
In other words,
he resigned and he tried mafia, but I no go feel mafia the lion. I got my forms and I beat him at the elections. But like
okay,
again,
so that's a side issue.
But I'm saying that it is not peculiar to one political party. And the reason we do this, polling station executives, as the NPP call them, or branch executives, as the NDC call them, all clamoring to become polling station or branch executives.
The question is why?
Simply because of constituency primaries and parliamentary primaries. That's all.
Yeah. And the influence of it, right?
Because once you're a branch executive, you're a kingmaker. So when the time comes, in Dangbe, they'll tell you, eminati, nimuyedu. Because for them, it is largely and literally about how much you can pay and how much who is given.
That is their cocoa season. That's where you get to grab. The one who wants to be king must come and see the kingmakers.
You have a thing about the winner.
It's also because you've sustained it, right? You've made it lucrative for them.
It is an unsustainable enterprise we've engaged in. The monetization of our politics is going to be the downfall of our democracy. We're going to get to a place where criminals will bring in loot from their crime and come and use it to buy political office to legitimize their criminal enterprise. That is where we are going. Until and unless the political parties across board sit back and look at how to demonetize our political space, we are in for major crisis. Look,
wow,
there is hardly any MP on getting elected as member of parliament through their primaries and their general election. If you take their 4-year salary put together, would be able to, it's less than that. Everybody, if you take our 4-year salary without taxes, forget the Land Cruiser loan that we are paying, forget all the deductions from our side. If you take our
the
gross amount and multiply it by 48 months, I'm saying that it would not be up to what any of the 275 of us sitting in.
And Dr. Dixon the other day. And trust me, some of what they told me shocked me to the marrow of my bone.
And that's why I'm saying that, look, it's something many of my colleagues will not want to talk about. But me, I say it as it is. The reality is our political system will be the downfall of this democracy. If we say we love this Fourth Republic. Look, in 92 and 96, party folks bought T-shirts to support the candidate. The candidate, when you print your T-shirt,
the campaign,
and the candidate used that money to run the campaign. Today,
how come we were not able to sustain that?
A lot of the monetization started in 2000 and 2004 especially. Unfortunately, and it has gotten worse.
What brought it about?
Well, I mean, there you may end up going into all the partisanship and all of those things, but that's the reality. We saw the monetization of our politics start in 2000, especially in 2004. But you see, the problem is today, you even take, when you print a T-shirt and take it, you have to add money to it before the person will take it. So you see how we have moved to stand there. Your cost is the cost of getting a PA system and hiring a hall to do your campaign. You don't give anybody anything. But here you share from fertilizer to snake venom it's just unbelievable. The kinds of expenses we have to go. And someone will say, well, if you are complaining, shut up and get out. The next person coming in is coming in to do it. And that's the problem.
And maybe even worse.
Absolutely. And so that's why people will kill themselves. And the sad part is when it comes to the real party work, many of these branch executives or polling station executives, you won't see them on election day. On election day, parliamentary candidates then have to go and look for people they can trust and pay to work and do mobilization, which is supposed to be the job of these polling station executives. So what is the need of these polling station executives apart from the cocoa season of constituency elections and parliamentary primaries?
So it's a vicious cycle.
The political parties need to come together and develop a roadmap. And that's why
Can you do that?
I was happy when...
No, can you do that?
It's possible.
NDC and MPP and the other parties.
It's possible. In 2015, the primaries that brought me into office, the one between myself and Honorable Iti, you had a system that was piloted by the NDC, a card-holding member of the party to vote. So
every card-holding member.
So in that election, there were 16,752 delegates on the election on the register.
Quite a number.
It was impossible for you to give everybody money.
Right.
You understand me?
Right.
So you couldn't pay. My last primaries, there were when they reversed it and went back to the polling station, just the 999, there were 870 people. It's easy to take 870 people, count them, and let them demand 5,000 or 3,000 or 2,000 or 1,000.
I get exactly what you're saying. Just hold it right there. I'll come back to you. Akwesi, what do you think about that suggestion? Is it something that you feel your party could take advantage of? Very quickly on that.
Sure, why not? That is why we need to start even screening it now. Even when you have limited numbers now, and you don't want to talk about the identification of these individuals, putting them into proper database so that you can have those specific numbers. That is where even you start to get some of these problems. Where you open it up, like what my brother Sam talked about, that he had 16,000 in 2015. Why did they come back to the 870? It's because the identification of all of these 16,000, I think, became problematic for them. Because people then sit back, like what I just told you, forge cards, I hold a card. So if you don't have a strong database to take care of all of these things, then that becomes a problem. But when we are able to do all of these things and open it up, I think, just as he said, we'll be able to lock down on some of these over expenditures that are being made.
So if you could interact with your NEC, or establishment in your party, would you put forth this suggestion to them that maybe we ought to practice that to stem the tide of monetary influence or monetizing our elections? Because like Sam George is saying, if we keep up like this, you could have a criminal, so to speak, in Parliament, legislating, making laws that will suit. Can you imagine the hijack of the system if we had criminals in Parliament? I don't want to say certain things because I might, impugn Parliament. But what do you think? Is this something you're going to push?
You see, this consideration about openness is with the party for a very long time. Because even if you look at how even our system has evolved, especially even in terms of the selection of our members of parliament and the selection of our presidential candidate. Initially, for the selection of our members of parliament, it was only the polling station chairman that voted in those elections. Now, every single executive at the polling station does so. With our presidential, it was only 10 executives from each constituency that did so. But now, every single polling station executive in the party votes in the presidential. It has increased the numbers to over 200 and something thousand people who are doing that. So that expansion process has always been under consideration within the party, and that is being done. But you see, once you do that, you must also be able to identify where there are loopholes so that you can bridge them. The mere fact that you want everybody to come on board, you must not also throw your door ajar. Then we still go ahead to find ways to identify all of our individuals who are Ghanaians and who are 18 years. So as to be able to register them and vote.
So we can reflect that in the minuscule processes as well, at the micro level, right?
Yes, whilst we are exploring that, we need also to be putting in place guidelines that would have to shape all of these things. The fact that you don't open doesn't mean you just have to open it ajar without any sort of protection. Otherwise, that would also bring another chaotic situation. Okay. But however, since it's under consideration, it has always been improving. I know it's going to improve and get to a better shape than we have it now.
Okay, all right. Thanks for that top up. I know you want to react to what he said, and then when you're done reacting, let's look at the way forward. Apart from what you've said, how do we structure our parties to get past this hurdle?
You see, for me, that's why when I started with the process in 2015, the NDC adopted, I said it wasn't a perfect system, but I thought we could have made it better.
Right.
The problem with that system, and why there was a clamor within the NDC that won for us to revert to the old system, was people said there was infiltration of the database by even MPP people. True. Why? We did that registration barely 3 months to the primaries.
So not enough time to verify and all of that.
There was an incentive for persons to pad with the registration database with people they knew. Now, if we start this process 4 clear years to an election of building this database, and it's not just going to be a database of persons who are present or holding a card. where you just get anybody who is a candidate going to buy a series of cards and registering people and just putting their names in there, trying to get those people to go and vote for him or her. What you do is you make sure it is members in good standing. So members in good standing will be determined by your attendance at branch meetings, by your payment of monthly dues.
Are you a paid up member?
Because if you leave it at only payment of dues, again, the money bags will come in. I can register 10,000 people. The dues is 1 cedi a month. So that's 10,000 cedis every month. If you make it 2 cedis, 20,000 cedis
120,000
cedis a year. I can pay 120,000 cedis a year and keep waiting because I know that assures me 10,000 votes. So the money bags come in. But the point is, apart from payment of dues, you look at their attendance at branch meetings and then parliamentary primaries. It's the only way we can go. Look, like Akosi said, in the NDC to our presidential elections, flag bearership elections, are voted for by over almost 300,000 people. How can any presidential candidate tell me he's going to buy or bribe all the 300,000 people?
Right.
At first, it used to be a very small number, less than 3,000 people who will come into a stadium, and then all kinds of influencing happens. Now we've opened it up. Why are they struggling to do same for the parliamentary elections? Look, unless we all call a spade, and unless the Electoral Commission, the laws exist. Political financing laws, taking the former member of parliament who said he paid 5,000
exactly
for. Then the OSP should be ready to come and take more than half of members of parliament.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you. Look, if you want to,
but he went out and said
that's what I'm saying, because he has been
the 11th commandment. Don't get caught.
He was in quotes frustrated by that payment and the fact that he still didn't win, that he went and spoke. But the people who are not speaking are more than the one who has spoken.
Right.
I'm saying that the money that gets spent, the obscene amount. But have you forgotten in the last primaries?
Lights, because that was not the intent. It wasn't.
Maslock has never done tabletop distribution of money. But when they got to an election season, it was prudent to do those those kind of obscene things, the kind of monetization. Look, Chief, me are there inside. I'm inside the soup. I'm not innocent. We're all guilty, because if you don't do it, you get kicked out. Okay?
That's your reality.
It is the reality.
Hard truth.
But until and unless we all come together, I have started one campaign where me in my constituency, if I come and campaign in your area and you tell me, MP, promise me you'll fix the road, I'll tell you point blank, I can't fix the road. Because again, MPs go and make that kind of promise.
And that doesn't even lie in your
You don't have the power to do it. Why do you lie to the people? Twains came on Twitter and defended me and said, as for this our MP, he will never promise you a road.
Okay.
Because until and unless MPs decide, and the political class, not just MPs, the political class, we begin to be factual and honest with the people, we will always be at the receiving end. At the point in time, MPs become beggars, running around, looking for money. I mean, look at what is happening. This chaos is unnecessary.
And that can only breed criminality.
Criminal enterprise.
Who will be lobbying the MP, giving the MP money? And when you get into position, how will that person benefit and all of that?
If the criminal doesn't want to
scratch my back
parliament himself, he will fund you.
I'm a puppet.
Puppet strings. They pull the strings and then you dance.
I just want us to quickly wrap on this, but quickly, very quickly.
But
before we look at
let me just say it's not peculiar to only Ghana. It's happening in the UK too. The Russian oligarchs.
As for that one, I know they are struggling with Russian money. How to deal with it? Even the Germans are struggling with
the Germans, the Italians, the French,
Russian gas and all of that, and business. But the United States, don't you forget?
Yeah.
Even there, real estate.
The United States, absolutely.
But for me now, what happened there, where supposedly some members went and painted the party office with NDC colors? What is your quick reaction? 1 minute, 30 seconds.
I have been saying that this has made it an NDC MPP thing. It shouldn't be. The media should be questioning my very good friend and classmate, Andre Siama, second deputy speaker.
Member of Parliament for Fomena.
Absolutely.
Why?
He was voted for by the people of Fomena as an independent candidate.
But as an independent candidate, he must place himself.
Don't forget, candidate Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo at the time, went to Fomena, put up a candidate, and told the people of Fomena that he cannot work with Andre Siama. And so they should vote for the MPP candidate. The people of Fomena...
But that was campaign rhetoric.
No, the people of Fomena listened to the president, voted for the president, but voted against his candidate and said, look, in parliament, we want a candidate who would represent the people of Fomena, not one who will go and do the whims and caprices of the MPP. If they wanted one who would do the whims and caprices of the NPP, they would have voted for the NPP candidate. Andrew Esiama owes it to the people of Fomena that on every national issue, critical national issue, he would represent the interest of the people of Fomena, not to align one way. I'm not asking him to come and align. Every critical issue, he owes it to his people, who took the bold decision to make him an independent candidate. To go back and find out on e-levy, for example, Sam, what is the position of the people of Fomena?
Sam, I get the point.
Vote on that principle.
I get the point you're making. Principle, yes.
But we've left him
because he is
and right now
practically.
Right now, what he's doing is an affront to the whole principle of independent candidates in parliament.
Let me just ask you this.
Because right now, he's basically, in quote, politically prostituting himself off to the MPP.
He is a majority and a minority.
No, you don't.
Why not?
You don't need to have a majority.
You must have a majority and a minority.
No.
You keep talking about hang parliament. You must have both sides.
What you need to have is a government side and an opposition side. So you have the leader of government business. That's the proper designation for the person who is on the side, even if the NPP had only 130 members of parliament. Mm-hmm. The leader of the NPP would have been called the leader of government business, because you wouldn't have expected, if NDC had 145 seats.
Right.
Okay, in parliament.
And they had less.
Haruna Idrisu will not be the one.
But is it not a majority side and a minority side, and there must be, a clear-cut delineation?
The majority and minority sides that you refer to is the semantics. But the reality on the ground is you must have a government side with a leader of government business that pushes government agenda. Whether they have the numbers, majority number or minority number, they are government side. And then you have the opposition. That is actually how parliaments are structured. And so an independent candidate need not align himself in perpetuity with one side. His independence is only determined. You can't tell me that you are independent, yet every time now MP, the member of parliament for Fomena, second deputy speaker, he must begin to show and assert his independence. If he wants to be on the MPP side, he should resign from parliament as an independent candidate, go back and contest the by-election as an MPP candidate, and come and align with the MPP. But at this point in time, he is abusing the principle of an independent candidate in parliament.
And the MPP has even called for him to be uncontested as he stands for the MPP. Some members. A party office of yours was actually painted in NDC colors. How do you react to that?
First and foremost, if you move to Fomena now, there is no MPP party office there that is painted in NDC colors. Even if it was, it is not so now. But let me go straight to the point. You see how my brother is.
Are you disputing that this happened? Are you disputing that this happened? Is that your point?
What I just told you is that even if it did, it is not so as we speak this morning. That is what I'm saying.
But that doesn't take away the fact that it was.
And that also doesn't take away the fact.
Go to the point of painting an MPP political party office in the colors of the opposition party, the main opposition party. What does that tell you?
And when those people that you say are disgruntled enough revert that decision of seeing of what they did was wrong, what is also about that?
You're suggesting that the same people who went and did the painting in the first instance are the same people who went to do the repainting?
Goes about trying to explain and trying.
So please clarify briefly on this one. Briefly clarify. What is he confusing?
Yes. Why? Our standing orders are clear. Our standing orders does not talk about an independent person in parliament. It talks about two groupings, two caucuses in parliament. You either belong to one or the other. Is either the majority side or the minority groupings. That is straightforward. If you talk about leader of government business, that is a purely different matter from what we have in parliament. That is where one person wears two hats. The person is the majority leader. That is, he leads the group that has the largest number in parliament. That is what our standing orders talk about. Then you have the person, if that same person is given the role to lead government business, so be it. But you cannot confuse the two. But however, when he has a difficulty in explaining that he talks about he was voted as an independent candidate, the president went to Fomena, held somebody's hand, the people understood the president, agreed with him, voted for the president and voted for an independent candidate. Therefore, it stands to reason now that if the good people of Fomena voted for and therefore must also support the policies of the president, I'm not even coming to parliament, support the decisions and the policies of the president, because the people in Fomena voted for the president. They believe in the policies that the president put out there. They believe in the programs that the president.
But they also sought to vote for an independent candidate for whom that same president they voted for had said, I cannot work with him, that he has ostracized himself and he does not belong to us. Don't vote for him. Is that not a dichotomy?
That is where the beauty then lies in the decision the people in Formina took. Then they could have also chosen not to even vote for the president at all. But they voted for the president and voted for that independent person to go support the president. But have you ever heard, even during, if the president supposedly even said that when he was on campaign, did you ever hear that the person who stood, the independent candidate, ever saying he cannot work with the president if he is also voted for? Let us distinguish the two. Let us distinguish parliamentary parties from executive parties. That is what my brother, I believe he is my senior in parliament and must understand that very clearly. When we are talking about parliament, we are not talking about an independent. The rules of our game, you must belong to. So you cannot sit here now and say that a person must not be standing in between. And no. Yes, even when he, Sam George, belongs to the NDC, when there are decisions that are being taken in parliament and his major groupings, the minority groupings take a stand, he can dissent from what the minority grouping is saying. That is not a crime. The mere fact that you choose to work with a grouping does not.
If you are saying, Kwesi, please. If what I'm just saying simply is this, that yes, he can say he's going to do business with you on this issue.
Yes.
When another issue comes, the same way you said, I can disagree with my caucus. There have been times caucuses have walked out and some 1 or 2 members have sat in the chamber from that same caucus. It means that they've not gone along with the full position of the caucus. And that's why I'm saying that the Formina MP should be in a position, his independence will be shown. When on a matter, he will say, look, even though I'm tied in perpetuity to one side. No.
That is where you are having a problem. If the person has not found reason or cause to disassociate from that decision, why must you, in your view, think that the person must?
It will be very intelligent for us to suggest that the MPP view, since he came to Parliament over the past 14 months, the MPP
also always been with your caucus, always opposing.
That's not correct. That's not correct. I can give you a typical example. It's not a very favorable example, but with the vetting of your ministers.
Akwesi, hold on for me, Akwesi.
With the vetting of your ministers, for example, you saw that in our caucus, not everybody voted along a certain line.
That is where you saw reason and cause in the decision that the majority caucuses also took. That is why you came to join on board.
But that's exactly the point he's saying. He's basically saying that this independent member of parliament seems to be bereft of the ability to stand in and represent his constituency, that he is a rubber stamp, basically. That's what he's saying. But Sam George...
Don't use those words. In my candid opinion, if you use the word bereft and the rest, please, no. If the person... Why are we making an argument that if I have not seen and found reason or a cause to disassociate from a decision that a certain grouping is taking, I must, so that you standing by will see me as an independent person, or you see me that I have now risen, it even becomes an insult to me.
That brings me to another crucial point that we've tabled for discussion, and I just want to find out from both of you gentlemen: is it possible in this Fourth Republic for especially the NDC and the MPP, like we would have Labour and Conservatives in the UK, to come together and so interacting with Lise Fonasante? If you've been long in the media space, you would know what she represents. And she said, for example, that we need a plan as a country. Our NDPC, we keep playing football with it, and this one comes and does that, this one comes and proposes that. We need a long-term plan. Is there a way, especially now, when we're looking at converge in terms of ideas and move the country forward? I just saw a message on Facebook, and the person was talking about the fact that when will Africans start thinking, put heads together and build our country instead of unnecessary quarreling? Is that even...
We always paint ourselves in a certain picture that I find unfortunate.
Which picture is that?
One thing is that when you immediately put, is it possible? I see it's never been possible or it's not possible.
Well, you've not shown too much to events that it is very possible. The next thing we see is that we see you guys fighting in Parliament.
if I will probably be able to allow to do that. Once we engage in all of these discussions that we are doing right now, we are having ideas, we are having discourses, we are having interactions that would help us arrive at a certain destination that we would all want to be.
Right.
That is the possibility in the situation. The whole idea about all of us being in politics is to drive this country towards growth and development, prosperity for each and every individual. That is all that both of us, in all political parties, every single person is achieving that. It calls for different ideas as to how to be able to get there. Once you want to move from Accra to Kumasi, you can come by road, you can come by rail, if indeed we have, you can even come by air, mode of transportation. Let's take this mode of. It doesn't mean we are not having a convergence or what, but we are sharing ideas. But immediately we tell ourselves that, oh, is it possible? Is it possible? We are only telling ourselves even to stop the discussions that we do, even to stop the sort of arguments that we do to bring about ideas in ourselves to engineer. So
discussing ideas does not bring unity, and obviously it's not served us well in the Fourth Republic. That's why we have so many elephant projects that have not been completed. My question is consensus. How do we find that consensus as a country so that regardless of our political differences, we can bring development to the country? That's what I mean. How do we get beyond the politics?
Immediately you talk about discussing ideas doesn't bring unity. I mean, you've defeated even the point of unity.
No, you're not getting my point. I'm saying that you can discuss ideas
put your point
and
right.
still be intransigent.
Have you always been intransigent?
Most of the time, are you not? I mean, how many times would you say that the NDC or the MPP they differ from what the generality of the party members are looking at or voting for? How many times?
In as much as I disagree with the use of your word most of the times, it's look at where we've agreed to move forward and continuously pursue that.
Okay.
Let us continuously engage ourselves in productive discussions as we do always, find solutions to the challenges that we face and move on. Just as we have been able to be discussing this matter, that is why we are able to raise issues about maybe a certain project that has not been completed in time, to draw attention to those who are, to find people who are now in the position to drive these projects to a certain conclusion, go on to these projects, give assurances, start the projects as where they are to always continue. Let us agree on these things, that in these discussions that we make, they bring about unity, consensus, so that we can move forward. Okay. If not all the time, but most of the time, as you even say, that we are moving forward, then we are moving.
How do we, sort these things out? Because I want to tie it to what you even said about the polling station level things, and so there must be some agreement between political parties at some point that, Charlie, let's do our politics in this way. It's not helping the country. How do we go beyond the politics?
Do you want me to be honest or political?
Be brutally honest.
No.
Hey, Sam.
And so the peace contractors must all stop. It won't happen.
The peace contractors must stop.
Those who are running around claiming they can bring peace between the caucus, they should stop. We won't.
Why?
You said I should be brutally honest.
Yeah, but I'm asking why. There must be a reason.
Have been very dishonest with us. They've not been forthright. Come with candor to the table. On this e-levy, there have been several attempts for us to find a middle ground. You finish a meeting with them, they turn around and stab you in the back. Several times on the floor. Go and read the Hansard. You will hear Harun Idris to stand up and say, but chairman, and this is not what we agreed in concrete.
And I do recall that you've had some of those instances.
Absolutely. But it's not to do any compromise or anything. Every single decision, we will vote on it. We will vote 137 to 137.
But then
if they don't have their numbers, then that is why your station interviewed me yesterday. The whole of this year, 7 weeks in Parliament has not done any government business. They can't bring anything. Right. Because they have worked with...
You're saying even beyond 2025, we are not going to see any...
Beyond 2025, NDC will have a sound majority in Parliament.
Even if that happens, they will also do you buga. The same thing you've done to them.
We will have the numbers to pass it without them.
Yes. But that would also mean you would sidestep them, and that is the problem with our...
bunch. They are not an honest bunch. They never stick to their side of the bargain. That is the problem of the NPP. The NPP thinks they are smarter than everybody. Look, the NDC went into negotiations on a certain time, and you saw how Haruna took a flag for it. How do you go into a negotiations on e-levy, for example? And I'm using that as an example. The NDC's position was 0%. We come to a negotiation, decide to move their positions. Kenneth Oriata came and said, I will never move.
They've moved from 1.75 to 1.5. They've cut budget expenditure by 20%.
Please, that one is English. Which part of the budget have they cut by 20%?
No. It must come through Parliament, yes.
Have they shown you which part of the budget they are cutting by 20%?
But that is what the finance minister said.
That's why I said it's English. It's hot air. It's hot air. Ken Ofori-Attah's focus.
Pickpocketing. You are referencing. No. You are referencing his alma mater and all of that. Is it fair? Is it fair for you to?
Were we not told that when he was being made finance minister? Were we not told that he's a Yale graduate and so he knows how to do it well? So his economic.
So you must drag his alma mater into this.
Not drag his alma mater. Is he not a Yale graduate? He's a Yale inspired. And this policy is pickpocketing, is thievery, and that's all he's interested in. And that's why I'm saying that. Look, so long as the NPP will not come with candor. The NPP will not put the national interest in consideration. What they put in consideration is their partisan.
The final answer is that between now and 2025, any agreement, Yamutu.
Final answer.
Let me tell you.
Sam say, Sebio, Semna Amud discussing in an Nkosiaga. He's basically saying that nothing will move, nothing will push, nothing will go back till 2025.
So no, we're not having any discussions.
Quick the attitude and the posture that will keep them in opposition. If you sit on national television and with this sort of penchant and mood, you tell everybody that no matter what we do, no matter what happens, we are never going to have an agreement so that this country, the people that you represent, would have certain clear mind. You get into power. You cannot build consensus with the people that will bring you to power. So I'm only telling him, regardless of what his position is, regardless of what he thinks he is going to do, this country will move forward. Parliament is going to always build consensus, and that is there. And even the people that also sent him there, because we represent the whole country. It is not about his rhetorics, and it is not about his mood of whatever he would want to assume now to tell everybody that it would never happen, and we've told our leadership. You don't sit on national television and sound a certain warning even to your leadership. It doesn't foster well within your own flanks. That is not right. And if my brother, my senior in parliament, would take this piece of advice, it will be helpful for everybody. Even in either harsher but milder in expression than the attitude that he just put up. You could have even said it would be very difficult from
but he promised, to be fair. He promised it with whether I wanted him to hold on.
No, wait.
I have to be fair to all parties. He promised it with whether I wanted him to be honest, and I said I wanted him to be brutally honest. That's his honesty.
Brutally honest, and the attitude that you show and the words that you choose to show to the persons and the Ghanaians that are listening to us also goes to inform your intent and whatever these people, and you would never agree, and you've even sent warnings to your leadership. I beg to differ. I think my brother went very, very low on this. If he would agree with me, if he would not, I have no problem. It is his choice of words. It's what he would want to say. I don't begrudge him for that. But
Sam George, would you have any apologies for what you've said?
When he Akwesi Konedu walked out of on the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Sumane Bagben, was it his leaders who asked him? You see, it is this hypocrisy of politicians. Akwesi's hypocrisy. And your leader was sitting in the chair. Your leader, Che Mensah and Afenyomake were sitting in the chair. They didn't ask you to walk out. OPK, Opoko and San Davis asked you to walk out. And you did not consider the people of Menchia North. You stood up and walked out with a first timer and walked out on the speaker when you were supposed to be there to approve your president's budget, a budget that was brought by your president. You walked out on it. You walked out. The first time in the history, you have gone down in history. Akwesi, please, when you were speaking, I was quiet. You have gone down a minus part of our parliamentary history that worked out on their own president's budget. You did that.
All right,
not on the instructions of your leadership. I'm coming. Not on the instructions of your leadership. On the instructions of the first timer who had not even spent a year in parliament. And you want to sit here and pontificate. Look, it is this dishonesty that I spoke about.
Akwesi, 30 seconds to respond. 30 seconds. I have one major issue I want us to look at. 30 seconds.
We've not worked out on our president's budget. Our budget has been approved. And second, we send warnings to our leadership. That shows the level of attitude of intolerance.
I didn't send any warning to any leadership. I said we have
you said
already.
it right now. Yes. You said it. That you sent warnings to your leaders. That you've told your leaders that they cannot go and even have consensus and come and tell you, you are never going to agree up until 2020.
It's down to your own understanding. When I tell you what is the position of the caucus, it is not me sending a warning. You see, you need to understand, you are the one talking about the use of words. When I say that we have had a conversation and this is the position of the caucus, it is not me sending a warning. It is a known position. And I can see that is why at this point, throughout the Christmas break on the e-levy, did your leadership meet with our leadership? You see, that's what I'm saying, that
if you are not privy to information,
please, there was no such meeting. Laruna Idrisi made this on the floor of the house.
Gentlemen,
maybe you don't pay attention in the chamber. Laruna said it on the floor that the whole period of the Christmas break, the finance minister, government, nobody in the chamber.
Sam George, hold on, guys, hold on. Let me just let me just do this.
They are engaging. That is the problem that they have.
All
they
right.
Let their people outside.
All right.
They are engaging and they are representing them.
All right. You who can about the fact that we've lost a sitting member of parliament. I'll start with you, Akwesi. I'll come back to you and then I'll give the final bite to Sam George and we are done. So quickly, the dollar is galloping against the cedi. We are losing ground. Fuel prices have broken the 8. The dollar could also break the 8. Your quick take on that, and then add whether you've heard about this bit about a member of parliament, unfortunately, passing on to glory. Quickly.
I believe you're also watching global events and events that are happening in this world. I mean, if you talk about fuel prices breaking the 8, currency depreciations and the rest, in this current situation, you see, when we are doing contextual analysis, put things in proper. Now you have Russia and Ukraine and the whole world. Now we have fuel prices.
Yeah, but some are faring better. Our cedi is the worst depreciated currency in Africa, and looking at the way things are going, it's getting even worse.
Don't go on those tangents.
Why not?
Some are faring better.
Why not? When the cedi was the best performing currency, we touted it. When it's the worst, we should tout it as well.
Go in 2005, 2015, when the world was not in a meltdown, attacking Ukraine and fuel prices escalating. The cedi was the worst performing currency in Africa, wasn't it? Now we have a global meltdown that is not only affecting Ghana, but affecting the world.
All right.
Go to places in Europe.
So I get the point. I get the point, Akwesi. So basically, it has passed on to glory. Have you caught wind of that?
I haven't. The last time I had information, that was about 12 a.m. He was alive. 12 a.m. today, he was alive. I haven't had information as to that.
Thank you, Akwesi. Sam George, so your take on the two as well. cedi to dollar and then the loss of an MP. Very quickly. We don't have time.
Anybody who wants to assume that the situation we face with our fuel prices is as a result of international market prices is simply playing the ostrich. International market prices are going up. Ghana practices with the crisis in Ukraine. It's possible that we should have seen a marginal increase. But the astronomical increases we have seen in this country has been on the back of the poor performance of our cedi. When you go to Togo, he's talking about Europe. Go to Togo. Fuel prices are not increasing that much. Go to Burkina Faso. Fuel prices are not increasing that much. The problem is the mismanagement of our cedi by Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, head of the economic management team, and Ken Ofori-Atta, Minister of Finance. On the issue of is that when I wake up in the morning and I'm able to move, it's not my making. It's the making of the Lord Most High. I don't play politics with anybody's health. And so I would not comment until there is an official communication. The gentleman in question is somebody I worked with closely for 4 years on the communications committee. He has my prayer and my thoughts for his speedy recovery. Any rumors are not anything. I will put that out officially. Until anything of that nature is done, he has my thoughts and my prayers for his speedy recovery. Because health is not something I play politics with. We are sitting here this morning. We don't know what will happen to us this afternoon. So health, not me. So I will not comment on any such rumors. They are unfortunate. If anything,
how do you say thank you?
Bochumka.
Bochumka.
Mochumika.
Mochumika.
Babesina.
Honorable Kunedu, medasi bebre.
Medasi bebre. Namisha.
Right. Akwesi Kunedu is member of parliament for Manchia North. Sam George. Thank you for staying. Time now for AM Business. It's brought to us courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Now, as part of our Ghana Month series, we want to tell the story of a lady who started her, macrame bag business after failing to gain admission into the university. Joy Business's James Eshan visited her, and here is his report.
Make lemonade when life gives you lemon. We are here in Teshi to speak to a lady who decided to start her personal business after several attempts of failing to gain admission into the university. Let's interact with her. Almost every graduate wishes to continue their education, enroll in the university, take their desired courses, and graduate with a good class. But this was different for Patience.
Stuff like this. I love handmade accessories. I love making them with my hand. So this is what I do.
At what point in time did you even think of starting something of this sort?
Okay, from SHS. All this came from SHS. I learned them from the SHS, and after I completed, I decided to learn more and then explore more on that field. So that's how I began these things. I did apply, but I couldn't get the admission to that place. So I decided to focus much more on these things and then move things to the next level. The schools I want to apply for is the KNUST or the Winneba, and I love to do so. I have to go into that field.
Pointed out you'd want to go back to school. What do you intend doing when you end up in school?
Okay, so the school I wanted to apply for is that Kumasi, KNUST, and the course I want to offer over there is industrial art, integrated rural art, so that's the school I wanted, and then the course I want to offer.
Patience, who learned most of her designs from the bags.
Getting the materials, I get them from Accra, Mokola, or sometimes I order them from Kumasi. So I order them from a lady in Kumasi, and then they ship them to this place in Accra for me. The bags with the plates, I normally call them Nawula, like lady. In Ghana it's Nawula, like
Nawula.
Awula is a lady.
That is this.
That is this one's. Yes, please. I call them Nawula because, and then with stuff like this too. With this, I don't have a name for it though, but it's just a school bag, like a school bag for ladies going to the uni, and also market people like beach bags. You can take this to the beach as well, and then also go to school with it.
What are some of the materials you need to make something like this?
Okay. The things you need to make something like this are the plate. Sometimes it comes in a wooden plate. We have the wooden plate, O-ring. Some also uses the DIN ring or the square or whatever ring they want to use. And then you need your scissors and, to attach the body of the bag to the plate. You need something like this. It looks like a needle. So you need something like this to attach the distance to it. And then you need, most importantly, the cord. The things in place so that they don't move around just like that for me.
With a brand name as Shikes Not Designs, she says the business is really booming. She leverages on social media to get her customers.
I have an Instagram page which I normally post my stuffs over there. Instagram, Facebook, and then my WhatsApp. So those are the three places I normally post my things on. So that's why I normally book a Shikes Not without underscore, nothing. You just Shika, SHIKASKNOT. That's a knot.
Is it booming?
It's booming, but Ghanaians normally don't purchase they normally don't fancy stuff like this. But people who know the quality of these things purchase them. So I think it's booming.
What's the macrame you also doing?
Okay, so one of the challenges I normally face is that getting the materials. You see, in Accra here, normally when you go to Makola, you don't get all the stuffs here, so you have to order them from Kumasi. Before they bring them here, you have to also pay certain things like money before getting the product here. Sometimes store, it could take 2-3 days. Even something like this, the cord, I didn't get it in Accra, so I had to order from Kumasi, which took, I think, 2 days before getting to this place. And that's one of the challenges. And also being a single person.
On her toes, regardless of the challenges she finds herself. In the next 5 years, Patience wishes to have a shop and train other young girls who have passion for handicraft.
Consistency and then determination. Yeah, and you know, the passion for it. That keeps me going. Because if you think that maybe people don't love what you do, or Ghanaians aren't purchasing them, and then you stop somewhere, you wouldn't this one before going to school. Although I want to go to school, but I just want to focus more and then train other people to get into this field, help young people who wants to learn this craft. And I think in the next 5 years too, I'll be glad and then be happy that my products will be the selling products in Ghana and then worldwide.
So there's a story of Patience, a 23-year-old who is simply not ready to give up on her dream. She tells us a lot with respect to her challenges, the prospect of what she intends to do in the next 5 years. She really wants to expand her business. I particularly have my Na Ahola bag. Definitely I wouldn't be using this, but this is meant for someone. For Joy Business, James Ishen.
It's been a wonderful day, hasn't it? Thank you so much for your company. Special thanks to Mapito Sibidi. The love is deep. Anyway, do have a good day. Let's connect again, same time tomorrow.